Hi, everyone. Let's take a moment to talk about project management in the context of learning design and technology projects. So it's important to note that what we'll talk about now, all of you have different backgrounds and you're coming from different contexts. And thinking about what your diverse audience needs and what you're trying to reach and the culture of that organization or setting is a really key aspect to think about project management. So when we're thinking about project management, there's some core principles that we have to be thinking about. That includes defining goals for the project, whether they're business or learning related, or a combination of both. Think about our stakeholders, including whether that's business decision makers, administrators, teachers, the students, or learners in other cases. Each of those are key pieces. Engaging those stakeholders as a part of the project, as you've seen in other learning design theory and work that we've done in the program so far, is a really key aspect to making sure it goes well. Then there's the aspect of task breakdown. We'll talk more about the different ways of breaking that down and what that looks like, but it's really key to have a methodical approach in how we do that. And the timeline development overall. What does that look like? How does it account for risk? How does it account for dependencies? What are the different ways that we follow up in the case of things not getting done or falling behind or off track? So then we have our project planning and design pieces. So in this case, we're going to be doing two pieces. We're starting right now with the project management planning, and that's different than our instructional design plan for the project. The instructional design plan's goal is to get an instructional design project to make sure it's a coherent and effective learning design in the context for your learners. The project design is going to have related pieces, but it's really going to focus in on that deliverable piece and the process overall and how to do that in a setting that works and how to work together to do that. All of this is really kind of a combination of arts and science. There's pieces that you can see and look into, but ultimately you're going to have to learn how to do this in your setting for you and your working style directly, and how to iterate on that and how to improve that overall. Where do you have to report this information out? Who do you have to engage as a part of the process? What buy-in do you need to get? What resources do you need as a part of it? Making sure that you consider that early on will help you to make sure that you have an effective project. You also want to think of common constraints or issues you might encounter. That could be time, resources, technology, things that might come up that you don't expect, and how to build that in a way that you could then confront those issues and address them appropriately. There are sometimes people would talk about specific approaches. So you might be familiar with the terms of agile and waterfall. We're not going to delve too far into that in this course at this kind of topic level, but I encourage you, and we can point some of these things out, to maybe play with a little bit of both. My own style is kind of a reflection of the two, having a robust plan that resembles waterfall, but then having a way of working with the tasks and updates and making sure that we're delivering value with reasonable resources throughout, kind of using a more agile approach with that. So those are two things that you might want to look at as you're starting to develop out your project plan in the project case. Again, there will be organizational or contextual aspects to that, so you want to think of that as well. Bring your own personal experiences and approaches to this. Think about what's worked well for you before. What self-knowledge do you have of your own working style approach? Where do you do the best work? How do you deliver results? What does that look like? And lastly, in the context of this project, so this is a moment to play with this. It's a moment to experiment. Think about how you could play or experiment with these different approaches and reflect on them as we go and iterate on as they go. If something doesn't work, revisit it, talk about it with others, see what works for you and what you find that you're hearing is working well for your other classmates, and we can together learn different ways to do that and to do better overall. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about projects, and this is just a brief primer.